folks, welcome to PlayBranson, the show where you get to know Branson's entertainers better. I'm your host, Chris Meyer, and today's episode is brought to you by iBranson.com, where you can find the latest Branson show schedules and attraction information. So be sure to go to iBranson.com. Our guest today is Eric Green. Now, he's part of the Celebrity Dinner Theater and Country Evolution show, and they're both at the Hughes Theater. Now, he's in a bunch of other shows as well, but this is his first time on the show. I'm so excited to have him on the show today. Now, you may be sitting at home saying, where should I go on my summer vacation? Well, let me just tell you, Branson is the perfect vacation spot for your summer vacation. Let's think about this for a moment. We've got the best theme park in the country, Silver Dollar City. They've got a new indoor coaster, Fire in the Hole. We've got the best lakes in the country. You want to fish, boat, wakeboard, or just lay out at Moonshine Beach? Well, you can do that. We've got the best live music shows in the country. We've got everything from country to rock and roll, comedy, and Broadway-style productions. We've got the best golf in the country. We've got great shopping. This is the place. If you've never been here, you've got to come. And if you're watching this in Branson, let me tell you, we're glad you're here. We'll be back with our guest, Eric Green, in just a moment. Hang tight.
There are so many things to do in Branson. You need help planning and booking all your fun. You need iBranson.com. You can find everything Branson has to offer from your computer, tablet, or cell phone. You can even buy tickets online or talk to one of their friendly Branson travel specialists. There's no sales pitches, no delivery fees, no service fees, and no waiting. It's fast and easy. Find your fun at iBranson.com. Do it all online or call 877-ENTERTAIN. That's 877-368-3782. iBranson.com.
Hey folks, welcome to PlayBranson, and on today's show, I have the one and only Eric Green. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me today.
It's first time on the show.
Yeah.
And you do a lot in Branson, and you're in a lot of shows, and so I don't want to talk about those shows, but let's just tell people what shows you're in, and we'll talk about the shows later.
Sure, yeah. Well, I'm mainly at the Hughes Brothers Theater, so I play bass for the Hughes Music Show and their Christmas show. Depending on what happens in the country show, I could be playing fiddle, I could be playing bass for that one, depending on who's where on that one. I'm also with Delina Ditto's Country Evolution. I'm with Ron Atwood at the God and Country Theater with the classic country, the early years. And at Christmas time, I'm also with Cassandra Haygood over at the Pepsi Theater.
But you're also doing this celebrity dinner show at the Hughes, right?
That's
a big one. That's a new deal.
It is. It's new to the theater this year, and they wanted to have a show that talked about the history of the celebrity theater before it was the Hughes Brothers Theater, and leading into the Hughes Brothers acquisition of it. And it's me and one other girl, Mikkel Smith, and we do it just the two of us, and it's very relaxed. It comes with your dinner. So when you get the dinner with the show, we are the entertainment provided with your meal.
And we're going to talk about that more in a moment. But I want you to take us back into your history, because you, very young age, were like, I want to be an entertainer, or that influence was there. So tell people about your history and how you have evolved in this business.
Well, I've grown up in music, but I never thought I'd ever be an entertainer. You know, I started to fiddle between 3 and 5 years old, and I grew up seeing Branson shows because my own mother was actually a video operator for Roy Clark, Yakov Smirnoff, and Jennifer in the Morning, way back
Jennifer in the Morning.
Mid-90s, yes. I was 2 and 3 years old on her lap while she's running cameras for Jennifer. And so I watched Nathan Agdepa, who's currently at Grand Country, playing the fiddle with her, and I wanted to learn. Well, at 1 year old, I pointed at my grandfather's fiddle, and they knew that I was going to be a fiddle player because I pointed directly at that fiddle. And so I had my first fiddle lesson at 3 years old, but I didn't actually start till I was 5. And I continue with fiddle my whole life. I still play fiddle, and I kind of just started learning other things along the way. I learned drums in 5th grade, and learned the bass in 8th grade, things like that, learned guitar along the way. But I always had the fiddle as like a competition thing. I did competition fiddling growing up. I never thought I'd ever do performing. It was like a party trick. You know, I always was bringing it to parties and jam sessions, and, you know, my family always had that long list of songs they always wanted to hear, and I just went through the list. But it wasn't until I got into high school that I really started getting more serious about taking music more seriously. And I had a really influential teacher in my choir. And he really kind of changed my perspective on a lot of it, and I decided I was going to go for a music degree at that point.
Okay.
And I went to College of the Ozarks, and I have a Bachelor's of Arts degree in music theory and composition. And kind of started in shows during there. I actually played bass for the Petersons for a year and a half, and they kind of got me started in the show scene, I guess you could say. You know, I'd kind of done shows my whole life, showcases, things like that. Like I said, competitions. I was even at the Titanic for 4 years as their musician out there for about 4 years, playing violin and piano in the musicians gallery in a full tuxedo, telling the story of the musicians. So that was a lot of fun too. But as far as the show business of Branson, that's when I really started, was my last year of college. And from there, I went to different shows, and now I'm doing all those other shows in town. So it just kind of, you know, progressed from there. And it's just amazing how God opens those doors for you. You know, even when you least expect it, all of a sudden here you are full bore into it, and it's like, I know this is where I'm supposed to be, and I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing, because it just happened, you know.
I love that. I love that. So, you know, one of the things, and we're always saying, you know, there's always this rumor out there, and sometimes I think it's our own self-rumor that Branson is just for old entertainers, okay? And maybe more so in the past, but I think you're a really good example of a young entertainer here in Branson doing shows. Like, and there's a lot of young entertainers here in Branson.
Right. I just love what I do. And the nice thing about Branson is that young guys like me have an opportunity to be there with some of the heavy hitters in town. You know, I'm very blessed to share the stage with people who played for Prince, who played, you know, on television soundtracks, things like that. You don't get to say that very often at 28 years old. So the fact that I get to do that says a lot about the town. You know, there is an opportunity for people like me to come in and just start playing, you know. And what really beautiful thing about the Branson entertainer community is we look out for each other. You know, we know each other, we help each other out, we network for each other, and that's a nice friend community within itself, which I think is just so great.
Well, and you're in several different shows, and what we have found is a lot of our musicians, they are in several different shows, and you kind of have to do that, because in some cases the shows have reduced the number of days they're maybe performing. So when they're not going, you know, there used to be shows that maybe would do 10 shows a week. Well, now they might be doing 3, 4, 5, and now you've got extra time. And of course, they're not going to pay you the same amount with less shows. I mean, they're just not going to do that. So you performed overseas as well. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, when I was a teenager, I was part of a fiddle group called the Possum Holler Fiddlers. I did not make the name. No, I was just part of it. Possum Holler Fiddlers. But we had an opportunity when I was with that group, and it was a fiddle camp based here in town that trained younger people to learn old-time traditional fiddle, which is what I grew up doing. And we trained them, but we also were the advanced group, which went around and did showcases to raise money for the next year's camp. And we got offered an opportunity to go to Scotland, to Edinburgh, Scotland, and perform for the Fringe, which is the largest fine arts festival in the world. It's attached to the military tattoo. And so at 16 years old, here I am on a plane, 9 hours overseas, in Edinburgh, Scotland, performing 6 shows in 5 days.
Wow.
And that was a culture shock and a crazy change of perspective for me. You know, getting to see bagpipers and spike fiddlers from the Orient on the street performing, and then here you are in the middle of the King's Mile in the shadow of the castle performing for hundreds of people on the street. It's like, wow. It was really cool. So
you went to college at College of the Ozarks. Were you in shows at that point in time, or did you kind of wait and say, I'm going to do that full time and then come back in the show business?
Well, I'd always, you know, had stuff I did. I did the pit orchestras in college. I was in the jazz combo in college. I sang a lot of choir, things like that. I was working at Titanic at the time, and so I was getting to play through that and doing things with them, and just here and there little gigs on the side, things like that. But really it started happening within my senior year of college with the Petersons. They kind of opened that door, and then I started subbing for the Hughes brothers after that. I was the sub for Marty Wilhite, and so I kind of came in at that point.
There we go.
And that kind of just took off from there.
Yeah, Marty Wilhite's been in town for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Got well-known entertainer. In
Big
fact,
shoes to fill, for sure.
Yeah,
So.
they used to have the Wilhite brothers, I think it was.
They
Way
did.
back in the day.
They did.
That's history, folks. That's history. And his wife has been on the show years past also. So, okay, we're going to stop right here. We'll be back in just a second to talk more with Eric Green. Going to Branson for some relaxation and fun? You've got to stay with Branson's award-winning hotel family, Meyer Hotels. Meyer Hotels features 5 hotels in Branson with the best locations for your trip. Choose from brands you know and trust, like the Holiday Inn Express on Green Mountain Drive, the Best Western Centerpoint Inn, Comfort Inn at Thousand Hills, and the Comfort Inn and Suites. Enjoy refreshing indoor pools and hot tubs. Do you like free? How about a free hot breakfast each morning? Free vacation planning services, and of course, smiles are always free. Want even more value? Go to MeyerHospitality.com and join our e-club to save 15% off your next stay and check out incredible deals with our vacation packages. Call 1-877-FUN-STAY to book Branson's award-winning hotels or visit MeyerHospitality.com. It's your safe choice for award-winning lodging in Branson. MeyerHospitality.com. Hey folks, welcome back to the show on PlayBranson. Today we have Eric Green. And Eric, it says in your notes here, you play 20 instruments.
Around that, yeah.
That's crazy, folks. That's awesome. I don't know if I've had anybody here that's played that.
20
instruments. Now, would you say you do them all really well?
Enough to be dangerous, you could say. You know, some of them more so than others, because I'm more of a strings expert. So I say I play Wurlitz or organ. I know enough to get me by.
Okay.
I can play along with people in a jam session, things like that. But I still count that. So
we want to talk more about what you're doing at the Celebrity Dinner Theater over at the Hughes Brothers.
Yeah.
And this is a new thing this year. So tell people, maybe they've gone in the past, they don't know what this is. So tell people what's kind of going on there.
Sure. So the Celebrity Dinner Theater is new to the Hughes Brothers Theater, and what they wanted was a chance to talk about the history and the culture of that specific theater. Going all the way back to when it was called the Celebrity Theater, when Roy Clark was performing there in the 80s and 90s. And what we do is it's very lounge style, it's very laid back, and it comes with your dinner. So for people who don't know, when you're with the Hughes Brothers, you can actually get dinner with your show. And that could be after the 5 o'clock show or before the 8 o'clock show. You can have dinner and then stay and watch the show. So we are the entertainment attached with the dinner ticket. And it's just 2 of us. It's myself and Mikkel Smith, and it's me on an acoustic guitar, and then I switch over to an Irish bouzouki in the last song.
Is that one of those 20 instruments?
It's one of those 20 instruments, yeah.
Irish bouzouki.
And I leave the ammunition at home. It's not loaded, I promise. So, but yeah, so it's very laid back, like I said, and we come out and we just kind of go through historical things. So we talk about different celebrities who perform there, like Tanya Tucker, Boxcar Willie, Glenn Campbell, Mickey Gilley, and we actually perform Loretta and Conway there as the 2 of us, and we do different things like that, kind of showcase each other a little bit with some solo arts, and then we go into the Hughes Brothers history, and when they started performing some of their early radio hits, sing a couple of those, all the way through their musical theater background and how they've incorporated that into their show. It's basically a brief biography of that stage. It's a really cool thing how they've structured it. And it's a nice showcase, too, because we also showcase other entertainers in town, keeping with that celebrity theater status. So you may have a chance to see other entertainers come in and do a little 5-minute segment, talk about their shows, and get a chance to kind of see some of the other flavor of other shows in town as well.
Because this is not, most shows in Branson are 2-hour shows.
Right.
And so you don't normally eat for 2 hours. So this is a shorter amount of time.
About 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Depending on the day, depending on the situations, between 30 and 45 minutes. And that's including the artist as well. So we start around 6:35 and we end around 7:20. So it's it's a nice short show.
So here's what I think is really interesting. At the Hughes Brothers Theater, they have a whole bunch of different shows. And because of that, depending on when the show is, you can either get the meal after a show or before a show.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so it's almost, folks, you're almost like getting 2 shows in one deal.
Basically, yeah.
I mean, I love the concept. I think it's really fascinating. So you've already started this
Yes,
year?
yeah. We actually had some trial runs last year and kind of got a taste for how it was going to be, and it went so well, had such good feedback. We started in March, and we've been 6 days a week since. So,
and so you do obviously some of the singing then as well.
Yes.
And so I guess that's probably a little newer for you on a stage, right?
Well, not necessarily. I love to sing. I've started in 6th grade singing, and but doing what I do, which is part of a band, we don't get to sing a whole lot.
Right.
So for me, it's kind of nice because I actually get to sing a little bit on stage. So in a way, I guess that is kind of new. I do sing with Country Evolution, and I do some stuff with that. But for here, I get to talk a little bit. I get to sing a little bit, and I get to kind of spar with Mikkel a little bit on stage. So it's kind of a nice, refreshing change of pace for just being the rhythm section a little bit,
Now, Mikkel, did you choose her? Did the Hughes choose her? How did that all work? I'm just curious.
She's actually kind of new to town. She moved here from Utah, and she has an excellent voice. She's very musical theater background. She's been a director for plays and things like that back in Utah. She moved here, and they kind of collaborated, the two of us together. Okay. And she's quite the talent. So it's a nice pairing for sure.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, folks, here's the deal. Like I know based on some of the research I have seen, a lot of people like to go to dinner shows. And so at the Hughes Brothers Theater, there's lots of shows that they can get a dinner in. So they can do it at the Escape Magic Show, the Escape Reality Magic Show.
Mike Walker's there too in the 5 o'clock slot. So whenever he has a show, you can have it after his show. You can have it before any of the night shows. So the Bald Knobbers are with us this year. So you can have it before the Bald Knobbers show, before Revive, or before the Hughes Music shows, and eventually their Christmas shows at Christmas time.
So folks, that's 6 different shows that you literally can have a dinner component. Now, the dinner is kind of served up in the balcony.
It is.
And I've been there a couple times, and I've eaten that dinner, and it was great.
Yeah.
So when people are watching your show, they're up in the balcony looking down at you performing on the stage.
Yes, yeah. So it's a little different because there is some space between us and the audience, but again, it's very loungy, very laid back. It's almost like you're watching a movie while you're playing it. We'll interact with you. We'll ask for a response by clinking glasses or whatnot because we don't want you to take away from your dinner experience. We want you to be able to eat, have conversation, have a good time, and we're just kind of there for your enjoyment as you want.
Now, when you say loungy, I want people to understand that it's not a bar.
No, not at all.
It's the feel of just kind of a little more relaxed.
Yes, it's just an acoustic guitar, 2 voices, maybe a couple of tracks here or there, just to give a little flavor to it. But it's very laid back. Again, we don't want to take away from the dinner experience. We want to be able to let you have a conversation with your friends or family across the table at a nice, easy level, and still be able to watch and enjoy the music on the stage. So that's what I mean by loungy. It's very relaxed, just kind of nonchalant, and just kind of having fun.
Let's talk a little bit about Country Evolution with Delina. We're big supporters of Delina here on the Vacation Channel, and PlayBranson. So tell people about that show and your role in that show.
Yeah, so Country Evolution is a really cool concept that Delina came up with, and that is a chronological history of country music in 2 hours. It's very fast-paced, very hit and run, because we do over 50 songs in the show.
50 songs. That's a lot.
It's a lot of songs in 2 hours, with an intermission, too. And we start with the Carter family, we end with Brooks and Dunn. And we do that entire span in one show. And myself, I'm the bass player. I play upright and electric bass. I'm her music director, and I get to sing a lot of the songs and harmonies, things like that. So that's a lot of fun there. We have a great band with us this year. George Geiser on steel and fiddle, David Brooks on the piano, Rob Wilson from the Duttons on the drums, me on bass, and kind of another newcomer to town, James Haining. He plays guitar for the Hughes Brothers. He's our guitar player for Country Evolution as well. Grew up in a bluegrass background. So great band this year, and of course Delina's stellar as always as the front lady.
Awesome.
But it's a fun concept to it, and if you like high energy, you like the history of it, you like fun facts of country music, that's the show to go to.
And do you know, off the top of your head, do you know what time that is and what day?
Yeah, it's Wednesdays and Fridays at 10 o'clock
at
the Hughes Brothers Theater, and I think that we'll update it as it goes on, probably add some more in the fall, things like that. So. Yeah, just keep updated with the calendars and things like that.
Okay, folks, here's the deal. If you want to see Eric Green, you got to go. He's a whole bunch of shows in Branson, but The two that are at the Hughes that you're going to see him quite often is at the Celebrity Dinner Theater or Delina's show. Now he's in a bunch of the other shows. Well, in the Hughes shows there as well.
Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch going on there. So folks, go to ibranson.com. You can see all those show schedules there. And we'll be back in just a second to wrap the show up.
There are so many things to do in Branson. You need help planning and booking all your fun. You need ibranson.com. You can find everything Branson has to offer from your computer, tablet, or cell phone. You can even buy tickets online or talk to one of their friendly Branson travel specialists. There's no sales pitches, no delivery fees, no service fees, and no waiting. It's fast and easy. Find your fun at ibranson.com. Do it all online or call 877-ENTERTAIN. That's 877-368-3782. ibranson.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. We've been talking to Eric Green today. Now he's with lots of shows, but two that we kind of highlighted are the Celebrity Dinner Theater and Country Evolution. They're both over at the Hughes Music Theater. Country Evolution is most Wednesdays and Fridays at 2 p.m. And then the Celebrity Dinner Theater is at 6:30 p.m. And that can be combined with a bunch of different shows, everything from Mike Walker, Revive, Escape Reality, the Hughes Music Show. So you can find all those on ibranson.com. Now, next week's show is Joshua and Yvette Dutton with the Dutton's Immersive Theater. We look forward to talking to them next week. Now, here's some limited engagements coming up in the Branson area. Now, there's quite a few, so hang on tight. Here we go. May 25th, Morgan Wallen out at Thunder Ridge Nature Arena. And then in June 13th, we have Chris Stapleton out there as well. June 13th, we also have Gene Watson. He's over at Wrangler's Honky Tonk. We have Fereza Regida. I probably didn't pronounce that right. Never heard of the guy, but he's going to be at Thunder Ridge Nature Arena as well. June 15th, one of my favorite bands, the Newsboys at Silver Dollar City. June 15th, Dave Singley is going to be doing a concert at the Nest. Terry Bradshaw, June 16th, and Matt Gumm's also there, not in the same show, but at Clay Cooper Theater. June 20th, we have the Songwriters Round at the Nest. In July, Matt Gumm comes back with a show on July 6th. And he does lots of dates throughout the rest of the year as well. July 13th and 14th, we have the Branson Steel Guitar Showcase over at Wrangler's. Here's a new one, July 16th, Brett Young out at Black Oak Amphitheater. And boy, that guy's had some hits. July 20th, we've got Lane Victoria and Lily Bell's sister at the Nest. Now, if you remember years ago, Lane Victoria was one of our co-hosts for a little while on the show. July 27th, Luke Bryant and a whole bunch of other artists out at Thunder Ridge Nature Arena. We have Kids Rock at, not Kid Rock, it's Kids Rock's July 27th and 28th over at Clay Cooper's Theater. And then in August 3rd, which is my birthday, by the way, send me some gifts. Aaron Lewis out at Black Oak Amphitheater. The Bennett Hall Band at the Nest on August 9th. Florida, August 10th out at Black Oak Amphitheater. Matt Gumm, August 12th. Josh Turner, August 16th with Tracy Lawrence out at the Black Oak Amphitheater. We got August 19th, Matt Gumm. Here's a big one on, I've talked about this before, August 21st through the 25th, Retromania. People like Vince Neil, Night Ranger, Bobby Brown, Casey and the Sunshine Band, Cinderella's Tom Kiefer Band, Starship featuring Mickey Thomas, Lou Graham, Stephen Perry, Pauly Shore, whole bunch of people. And then at the end of August, we kick off the Southern Gospel Picnic at Silver Dollar City, and there's a whole bunch of folks there for several days. Now, if you need help planning your Branson vacation, be sure to go to ibranson.com or call those folks at 1-877-ENTERTAIN. You can find the latest show schedules, attractions, lodging options on ibranson.com. Now, you can also find us on social media, on Facebook. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, or you can just find us at PlayBranson.com. Folks, here's the deal. Music is always better live, so go see some live music this week. You've been watching Play Branson, and that's it for today. We'll see you next week here on Play Branson.